All right, good evening, Dagwoods. How's everybody? We've had some pretty big names in here, right? Oh, yeah. How about a little hockey royalty?
Yes.
How about Mark Howe?
Hall of Famer.
For all you newbies to the game, that's Gordy's son. Anybody remember watching him play? There you go. Couple arms. There we go. There you go. Well, welcome.
Not that old.
Right.
Well, welcome everybody, and again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. As you can see behind us, Lauren, I don't know where she found the money in the budget for the balloons, but this is our 200th show. So we're pretty stoked about it. Couldn't ask a better person to come out and join us. He's been on my list. He's been on my radar for a while, and I asked, and he said, "Sure, just send me the info." So I'm glad to have him. I'm sure you guys got your questions ready. A lot of good hockey. I think we're not holding back on anything, right? This isn't spit and checklist, so we don't have to worry about that.
No, you ask good questions, you get good answers.
There you go.
There you go. There you go. So again, Jamie just left from our presenting sponsor, City Distilling. I'm sure those drinks are on special tonight, along with a lot of beers. But check with Sam and Sharon, right? Did I get it right? Shannon or Sharon?
Shannon.
All right, I'll get it right by the end of the night. So here we are, and we got a lot of business to take care of, and I'll take care of it through the night. Sue's over there with the raffle table. We've been doing a lot of good things lately. We made a really nice donation to Ed Snyder. A lot of you guys were here for the Perrant appearance. Ed Snyder, most recently the Darren Dalton Foundation, and then last week the St. Jude Children's Hospital Research Hospital in the name of Scott Hall, the wrestler that passed away the beginning of the year. So we've been doing some really good things with our charity group, and we're going to continue. So if you guys can support the raffle prizes. There's a really cool item up there tonight that Mark signed a while ago from his Hall of Fame induction poster. It's also signed by a couple of his teammates, Brian Propp and Tim Kerr. So a couple cool items up there. So dig deep. Chances are free, 2 free ones, and then $1 a piece. So let's raise some money for the charity. And John, what do you got?
Well, I'm just honored to be here with the Hall of Famer family, WHA Hockey Hall of Famer with your whole family. That was pretty cool. How was that experience when your whole family got to be inducted together?
No, it's pretty awesome. But by far, though, the greatest thing about being in the WHA was getting a chance to play. I was a left winger. My dad either played right winger or center. But Marty and I, we were on the same team for pretty well every year growing up as kids. But anybody that had a chance to watch Gordie Howe play at age 45 after a 2-year retirement stint, came out of retirement. He was the best player in the league, and he was better at 45 than I ever was at any stage of my career. So that's how good he was. It's kind of like you got football fans that love Tom Brady. Watch what he's doing at his age. It's very similar.
Wow, that's very cool. Yeah, I mean that's got to be a special honor to be able to play with your father and growing up, you obviously watching him play, through his career and idolizing him, but then play with him, it's pretty special.
Yeah, without a doubt. So I whenever I could, if I wasn't playing a hockey game as a kid, I went to all the Red Wing games, and I know my dad gets pretty much all the accolades for helping me along, especially on the ice. But In actuality, it was my mother who did more for my career than anybody on the face of the earth. So from the time I started playing hockey, organized hockey on a team when I was 4, by the time I was 7 until I moved away at age 17, played a minimum of 100 games every year, and we practiced 3 days a week on top of that. So my mom would put on 30,000 miles a year, getting us to the rinks.
Wow.
And also she was a disciplinarian, and yeah, I did make a few mistakes as a kid growing up, and I love my parents for it. They wanted us to experience life. We were never told, don't do this, don't do that. But once you made the mistake, then they expect you to learn from the lesson. So so my mother did so much, but it's kind of hard when you have a man of stature like Gordie Howe. But
Right.
my mom did it with grace, and so like I said, every year she would form our team. She would pick the coaches we had. And by the time I was 14, she felt we were kind of too good for the hockey in the United States, and she didn't think we were ready to leave. So she formed a junior B team in Detroit, and she formed a Tier 2 junior A team. She was responsible for building the first indoor rink as Gordie Howe Hockeyland in the state of Michigan back in the 60s. So she did an awful lot for not only myself but a lot of other kids as well.
That's very cool. Very cool.
So she also did a little representation work as well later on, right?
Yeah, she was an agent that didn't charge so much. So the only thing is, I was living at home. I had to pay rent. So, but it went. Yeah. So, well, it just a lot of people didn't think much of the WHA, but my dad played year 1970 and also 1971 in Detroit. Made $100,000 a year each year. That was year 24 and 25. WHA came along. I signed a contract for $125,000 a year for 4 years. So I made 25% more than the greatest player ever played the game ever made. So, and actually, I didn't think I was quite ready. I just turned 18. I think maybe I lacked the confidence or whatever it was. I thought I needed a little more experience in junior hockey. And I told my dad, I said, I think I'll stay in Toronto one more year. And he pointed out, he said, look, you're making $25,000 a year more than I ever did. He said, if I have to, I'll break your arm and sign the contract for you. So I said, okay, you win.
You win. That's cool.
Awesome. Any, I know we're early in the show, but I think I've got everyone's attention.
Yeah, it's very quiet in here.
It's, either you're done eating or you're waiting on your food, whichever it is. But any questions? Lauren's out there with the microphone. Jack, you're probably the most educated hockey guy in the crowd.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
So I just have a question for you. Since you're retiring from your playing days, you pretty much go with the Detroit organization. As a scout, director of player development. Most recently with guys like Cider and Batchuk and Zetterberg and guys like that. What is Detroit doing so different to have such success? Where I think you're part of 4 Bucks with them, where the Flyers haven't been able to win one since the 70s.
Well, the Flyers have been to the finals a lot, so I just know how difficult that is, and they were knocking on the door. And actually, I think the best chance the Flyers had of winning the Cup was when Hitchcock was coaching, and they lost to Tampa in the semis. I think had the Flyers won that series, I think they won the Cup that year. But no, I retired from the Red Wings June a year ago. But I was on the pro side. I've always said, been quoted many times, I think the most difficult job in pro sports or in hockey is amateur scouting. I know the way we worked in Detroit for in the late 90s, all the way up to maybe 2010, because our teams were really strong. We would trade first-round draft picks because we're going to be drafting 26 to 30. And we'd get a player, say, i.e. Chris Chelios, who we knew was going to play for at least 4 or 5 years. And every year we'd get 1 or 2 guys like that. And those are the guys that they help to keep you strong, help you compete for cups. But at the same point, the amateur guys, their opinion was if you're drafting number 30 or you're drafting number 5, you have the same chance of getting a player. You're drafting these kids at 18. Most years, if you're drafted 1 through 3, 1 through 4, you're going to get a pretty good player. But after that, actually, I sat with Steve Eisenman, and his opinion this year was if you're drafted number 4, you're drafted number 35, I have the exact same chance of getting a player. Wow. So that's how either diluted or how equal it is. I know Jimmy Nill ran our draft in Detroit for years, and he now runs Dallas Stars. And that's what Jimmy always said. He said, look, we'll trade our first. You give me the player I want. Give me a 5th-round pick in return. So, I mean, when it comes down to, like, even 3rd-round picks, only 20% of those guys make it. So it's a small percentage. So I think you have to go. You look at what Tampa's done, with Point, Palat, a lot of these guys, they're 3rd-round picks, 4th, 5th-round picks. They signed Tyler Johnson, and they just traded, but for 7-8 years, very serviceable player. And those are the guys that really make a difference. It's usually fairly easy to get a guy when you're going number 1 or number 2. I know in Detroit, like I said, they got Datsuk, I think was like 3rd or 4th round. I think Henrik Zetterberg was like a 5th rounder. Nick Lidstrom, who I think is one of the all-time great defensemen in the history of the league, I think they got him in the 2nd or 3rd round. Those are the home runs that you hit. And if you don't hit those, it takes forever to rebuild the team. And then the other thing you have going now is winning the lottery. I know the Flyers won it the 1 year. Look what they're in the Rangers. So the Rangers, they make a really great trade with Ottawa. They get Zibanejad. Then they win the lottery 1 year. They get 2nd pick the next year. And then Panarin decides to go to New York. So over a 2-year period, they load up with 4 players that speed up the rebuild incredibly quick. You look at Arizona, and actually the Red Wings have gone through the same thing the last 3 years. Go to Detroit 3 years ago, they were by far the worst team in the league. And the worst you can do is go up 3 draft picks. Well, we went up 3. And you went from, like Arizona, they had shots at McDavid, Austin Matthews, I mean, like superstar players, and they don't get them. And to me, it's a little bit unfair. I've never seen a team purposely tank it. So it's, but in teams like that, you need those players to get a chance to reestablish and become a good team again.
Want to do a little trivia? Get some.
Do we have Lauren's attention?
She's always paying attention.
Are you sneaking in a little work?
No.
All right, just checking. Just checking.
A little overtime.
Little trivia.
Little trivia.
See how good John did on Wikipedia this week.
All right. So, what year was Mark inducted into the Flyers Hall of Fame?
First hand up, right?
Oh.
First hand up after the question is fully announced. Guy's got his hand up already.
Just leaving him up.
So the first hand up, Lauren will choose.
Well, Joey's cheating because he's right in front of the poster.
I got this guy right here. I got that guy over there.
All right. So we'll answer that again. What was the year that Mark was inducted into the Flyers Hall of Fame?
2001.
That is correct. That is correct.
What do you win? Red raffle tickets?
Yes. He wins a city sip or one of those photos that you signed for,
Oh, okay.
for us
No,
earlier.
I'm just kidding. He's got a mint full of raffle tickets over there.
Yeah, I think he was also cheating because that one poster right there says, 2001 on there. So he's right there in front of
I'm
him.
glad he knew. I couldn't quite remember myself. I call that my Dick Vermeil poster. So I saw Dick Vermeil at a function about a month ago, and I said, actually, the face on whoever did that, to me, it looks like Dick Vermeil more than it does me.
So let's go back to Jack's question, because I know where Jack was going with that, because I know the avid Flyers fan that he is, and many of us, are still waiting. It's been a while. Did the Flyers make the right choice in getting rid of Ron Hextall?
That's very hard to say. I know Hexie. I know some of the stuff behind the scenes. Not a lot, but a little bit. Ron is just as competitive as a general manager as he was as a goalie on the ice. If I had to say one thing, that the best bosses I've ever had are people that delegate. They give you the opportunity to contribute, and my voice was heard. And I got my opinion. I give my opinion for what it's worth, and they can either take it or leave it. That's their job as the boss.
Right. Use it as information.
Yeah, I think the one thing here, I think if there was anything that probably cost Hexie, that might have been it. But Hexie took an approach that I believe in. I know when Hexie took over the Flyers, anybody that watched their farm system, they'd been 3 years. I would go, there wasn't one prospect that went through there, not a one. And then by the time Hexie was released from the Flyers, there was a boatload of prospects, a lot of good young players. So, and your team, your system is only as good as the depth of the organization. So Ron, in my opinion, I thought he did an outstanding job at that. I read there was some criticism that, I think maybe over the Nolan Patrick draft. I don't know the truth about that. Somebody said he overruled some of the people. I don't know. Unfortunately, that pick didn't work out for the team.
Right.
But I do know that, like I said, I don't know of anybody that works a job and you feel like you have no importance. And if you have no importance, and that job is too hard. When you're seeing, on average, I saw 150 to 155 games every hockey year. And you're doing reports that take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours every single day to do. And when you're doing 26, 28 games in a month, and you're being overruled on everything, or your voice isn't being heard, it goes from a job that you have to have passion for it, just like playing, because it is very difficult.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't, if you don't feel like you're a part of it, it just doesn't work.
How much of it do you miss? Is it? I mean, you sound like you could pick up right where where you dropped off a year ago.
I can't swear, but I don't miss it one iota. No, I think what happened with me, I think with I had special circumstance, Carl, that at home, where my longtime girlfriend Sharon, she was starting to have signs of dementia a few years ago, and life was going fine. And then we went and got our February 16th. We went and got our vaccination a year and a half ago, and the vaccine just blew her mind right out of the water. So our lives changed overnight. I spent all last year going to games either in Philly and Newark, and scrambling like crazy for caregivers, and it was really, really hard on me. Sharon would go 30, 36 hours without sleeping. It messed up her sleep mechanism and everything about her. And so I'd run upstairs and lock myself into a room, let her have the house, and I'd shut off the water and take the knobs off the gas, shut off the microwave, and I'd wake up 4 hours later and see what part of the house got destroyed. And then like I said, I think it was in March or April, I scouted 28 games, and then trying to do reports, and it sucked the life right out of me is what it did. And so it, basically I burned out. And then it was great. So Steve Eisman called me. My contract was up. They offered me a really nice raise. Steve said he's real happy with my work. And I just said, Steve, I'm tired. I can't. And they offered me to position to, they paid me a smaller salary. Just go to Flyer games, just watch all the games here in Philly and do some reports. Or if I wanted, they offered me a 1 year buyout salary, full salary, and I said done, sold. So like I said, I know I burned out because I only went to 3 games this year. I went to see the Red Wings play to say goodbye to the coaches who I hadn't seen 2 years because of the pandemic. And I went to see Kenny Holland, who's running Edmonton. He was my boss for 24 years, wonderful man. And then I took my grandson to a game. Those were the 3 games I went to, and don't miss it a lick.
Getting back to Hextall, was I know one of the things they were saying was the controversy whether or not to bring Carter Hart on, the pressure from the front office and Hextall whether or not to bring Carter Hart up. What do you think on that from the distance, obviously?
Well, it's hard. I without a doubt, my 26 years of scouting, any player that got brought up too soon, even if they had success, it eventually catches up with you unless you're just one of the greats.
Right.
And you have to go through adversity. And now when you're up top, you're trying. And I've seen guys that regressed for a couple of years. It's hard to get it back. So I know exactly what Hexie was doing there. Well, actually, Darren Hellmuth, who now plays with Colorado, was in Detroit system all these years. Drafted, played for us. We had some injuries. He got called up. We won the Stanley Cup in 08. I think he scored the cup-winning goal. And the next year, we're going to training camp, and we had him slated for the minors right from the get-go, just because we wanted him to develop. He could skate, competitive, everything about it he liked, but he didn't have a really good set of hands. So he was going to play 25 minutes a night down in Grand Rapids, going to play the power play. So we had a guy, Sider, their pick this year. So he was destined. They didn't want him in Detroit. It was a really bad environment 2 years ago. It was a bad environment a year ago. So they sent him down, and they told the coach down there, I want him on every power play. I want this kid to learn how to play the power play. I want him to learn how to make plays, develop his hands, develop his hockey sense, creativity. And then when the time is right, we'll bring him up. And so, I totally understand where Ron Hextall would be with that situation. And and Carter Hart was unbelievable. He was fantastic. I think the reason they got in the playoffs that year is because of him. I watched it every night. But over the last couple of years, it's been a struggle for him big time.
Yeah. And then to throw COVID on top of it, that whole,
COVID messed up everybody's life, I think,
Right.
but especially sports. I mean, you go to, you're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs 2 years ago on TV, and it was terrible to watch. I mean, no fans in the building, and the fans are what make it. I know all the years here where we'd be playing, and if the game wasn't going so well, one of the coaches would just tap somebody on the back, so they get out there and start a little ruckus. Yeah, there you go. And the fans got going, and on those are the nights where the fans got the game going, got both benches going, and then the game carried over, got more entertaining, so the people got their money's worth.
Yes.
Lauren, you got some action there on Facebook?
Yeah, we've got a Facebook question asking if you could just talk about your time playing at the Spectrum and how loud and how awesome that was.
Well, playing is like everything is new and bigger and all that, but playing in the Spectrum, smaller building and in the confines, and the legacy that the Broad Street Bullies brought to this town, and it carried over into that building without a doubt. So we had some tough players, but we weren't the Broad Street Bullies. But and without a doubt, the loudest ever heard was J.J. Daniel scored Game 6 against Edmonton in '87. And I remember looking up at the roof. I said, God, I hope it doesn't cave in again. But I think some paint came off the roof. It was so loud. But but and the best thing, I guess, about playing in Philly, and I think the fans here, they get criticized for being hard on players, whatever. I go, that's not true. It's like the one thing I think that people recognize here is they know when the players are giving it their all, and they're bleeding, they're sweating, they're doing what they can. You can't win every night, but they recognize when the players are really trying and competing. And playing in the Spectrum, like I said, we had a lot of good games there, and so yeah, we heard a lot of cheers. But I miss the building. It was a wonderful building to play in.
Talking about the '87 Cups finals, Carl had Grant Fuhr at the store. One of the customers was joking with him that if Tim Curry was healthy that '87 year, that we would have won. It would have been a different outcome. And Grant actually kind of almost agreed to it, even in his.
I don't know. I remember because you played every other day when you got to the finals, and we won Game 6 here. It's the only time I ever seen the Edmonton Oilers. They were reeling.
Really?
And they threw an extra day in between, so there was 2 days off. I think that, and the champions they were, I think it gave them an extra day. But I'm not having Timmy Kerr, because the way I figured it, your goalie had to win a game. Timmy Kerr would win a game, and if the other 18 guys could get their stuff together, you could win 2 games. So, but in actuality, Grant Fuhr, we were up 1-0 in that final game, and we're in the power. He made an incredible save on Doug Crawford. Unbelievable. And the Oilers. Nobody really. I don't know how much credit Grant Fuhr got, but. He was a heck of a goalie, and he had to come up with a lot of big saves. A lot of times he had outnumbered situations, and he made the big saves when you had to.
Yeah, you need that. Yep.
Any hockey questions? Anybody? Jack? I should have had you up here. You could have been.
We have a different question.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm blinded by that person. Sorry. My bad. Jack, you're on deck.
No lower voice when you hear it. I just wonder what you think of John Tortorella, however you say his name, coaching the Flyers.
John Tortorella coaching the Flyers. I think he's learned a lot over the years. I've only met John once or twice. The team will be structured. I think his teams always block a lot of shots. Going back to Tampa, watching the Rangers, Columbus. I don't think he's a long-term coach. I think he's a short-term coach. I think he pushes pretty hard, which I don't know. I think that this team might need it. It's become a little too comfortable in my opinion. They need to come out and they need to push hard. So whether they get in the playoffs or not is another thing. And it's not because they'll be better than what they were last year, but they have to catch somebody. And like in Detroit, everybody says, well, they're hoping they make the playoffs maybe in another year or two. I said, but who are you going to beat out? I mean, every team's scoring 100 points. It's not that you are getting better, but those guys are just at the top of their game, and until they start fading, it's just hard to make it. So, but I think they'll be obviously more competitive than what they were this year. But Torts has had good success, and I think he'll push them. And I know when I was here, so Bob McCammon moved on, and we hired a new guy named Mike Keenan. And the only thing I heard about my brother Marty called me, and he said, "You know anything about Mike Keenan?" I said, "No, I never heard of the guy." He goes, "Oh, you better be ready." So, and Mike Keenan met with every player. I had lunch with him at Kaminsky's Ale House over in Jersey. When we met, I said, "Look, he asked what I want. I said, I want a chance to play more. I said, I'm only playing 24 minutes a night, and I think I can help this team if I get an opportunity." And he looked at me and said, "Well, your job is to be ready." I said, "I'll be ready. I'm not worried about that." But the way Mike was, so we played our first exhibition game. And it was a game in Hershey, and I played 16 and a half minutes of the first period. He wouldn't let me off the ice. And we were leading 5-0. I think I had 5 assists. So I'm sitting there going, wow, if I didn't pass that test, nobody ever did. And believe me, he treated me worse than anybody the very next day. He let you know you can't be satisfied with whatever you've done. It's in the past. You got to look to the future. And we had a lot of young guys, but he pushed everybody to a new level.
Talking about pushing players, how different are players today? As far as can you tell them that they're wrong?
I don't know. I a couple of times I made games in Detroit, maybe 3-4 years ago, and we would be so bad. And I'd come down to the coaches' room after, and they're just taking it like it's a day at the office.
But they won.
And I'd go to a couple. I said, "How can you not be in here, not screaming and hollering and yelling or throwing or doing something?" And they just said, "Well, if you do it, the players just shut down."
Right.
And he said, "That's no good." He said, "So and I think that's why it's really important to have coaches with stature, and I think Torts does have some stature. To me, if I'm a player, I'm looking at it. Yeah, there's a little bit of fear factor in there. I've always felt either you have to have one or two things. You either have to fear the coach, or you better respect the coach, and preferably both. So I mean, I put Scotty Bowman in that category, Al Arbor in that category, and so when you have both those qualities, you're going to have a pretty good hockey club. But so I think Torts come along. He's got a history to him, and the players better be ready.
So you're wearing the GM hat, right? You're in the driver's seat. This past year, the Flyers are playing pretty crappy. You decide to trade your captain, right? Trade your best player, right? You basically got a deal done with the Florida Panthers. I'm not so sure it was the best deal that they could have gotten for the quality player that they traded away. You're the GM, and it's hypothetical, I know. But do you make that deal?
I don't know. So I don't know what goes on in their meetings. I just know. So when I first came here, 82, 83, I think we lost to the Rangers. I think we lost to the Caps. Bobby Clark was the captain of the hockey club. Bobby Clark retires. And if I look back, I think Bobby Clark or Dave Poulin were our two best players when we lost to the Caps my second year here. But with Bobby Clark retiring, it gave some younger guys like myself, a chance to grow and have a voice in the locker room. So my thinking is probably what the Flyers were thinking was it's time for a change. We need a new voice in this locker room. We want some young guys, whether it be Provorov, Couturier. We need somebody other than because your captain runs your locker room. I don't care what they say, and maybe it'll give guys like I'm not going to sit and chirp off with Bobby Clark sitting next to me. Maybe there was a few things you want to say, but you don't. You listen to your captain; he's your leader. And then, without a doubt, they picked Dave Poulin for me, and Dave Poulin was our voice. Everybody respected Dave Poulin. You had, being one of the guys like Brad Marsh, myself. You did some chirping. You had some things to say at times, but without a doubt, Dave Poulin was our leader and had the final say. So. I guess the long version is I think maybe they feel it's time for a new voice in that locker room, and for some of these young players, it's their chance. Now is their chance. So they should realize it. They should be putting the work in the summer. And like I said, when we heard Mike Keenan, that was my chance. Bobby Clark had retired. I made sure I was ready, and I was given the opportunity, and I did whatever I could to, grab the bull by the horns.
All right. Well, that was the answer I thought I was going to get. I just, I obviously didn't agree with the trade. I still don't agree.
Well, they're going to miss the points.
Yeah, for sure.
but it's not a 1 year, it's not a 1 year decision.
Right.
And I know with all the injuries that they had here, and no matter what they do, they can be better, they can do this and that, if they're not better in their own end of the rink. And Carter Hart has to be better than what he was. So, and I look at it, I know in Detroit they had a video, the goalie coach, the way we scouted the goalies there, and they showed this video to all the scouts. They said, here's what we want you to look for. And I said, wow, that might as well just put Carter Hart's face on this. I mean, that's what he was. He was so good that first year. And like I said, my opinion, they don't make the playoffs without him.
Mhm.
He was outstanding. And every game we went to, I said, if they had a 1-goal lead with 10 minutes to go, you might as well just go get in your car and go home. You know they're winning. And I know over the last year and a half or so, when it get down to the last 10 minutes, I know he's going to give one up. And that's the difference. So, and you can't have that. So they need a little bit more consistency out of the goaltending. And it's not just the defense, and it's not just, it's the whole group. You win by a team, you lose by a team, but your goaltending needs to be better.
Lauren, Jack had a question. And I don't want him to forget it. I know he's getting old.
I am still not old enough to see the cup though. It's the win. So Mark, you mentioned the Oilers earlier in the dynasty that they were in the 80s. You guys took them in 2 games or 2 series, 85, 87. You took them right to the break where, it could have went either way, either team could have won. Yet you're the only member of those teams in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Do you think any of the other members of your teammates should also be in the Hockey Hall of Fame?
I don't know. I find to me, the Hockey Hall of Fame is really quite political. I know Mike Emmerich, who I met, was working with the Flyers when I first came here. Doc was on the committee, and Doc called me every year. He tried to get me in, and it took me 16 years to get in. So, and actually when I got in, there wasn't anybody in the world more surprised than me. My opinion is, I wouldn't vote myself in. I think the Hockey Hall of Fame is for the Gordie Howes, the Bob Yours, the Gretzkys, the Lemieux, the Believaux. These guys they're the cream of the crop. In my opinion, that's how it goes. I always explain it. They got a door in the front of that building. They all walk through the front door. Somehow the door got open in the back, and I squeaked in the door. But yeah, I mean, Brian Propp was a really good player. Between Hextall, Taka went on to have a great career. Timmy Kerr, like, I think 4 years in a row, 50 goals. And I said this earlier in the show that normally when you went into a series, you wanted your goalie to win 1, and you guys find a way to win 3. But Timmy Kerr was that important to our team that we counted on him when he had it going. We'd win the hockey game no matter what. You look. When our team lost Timmy Kerr and his 50, 60 goals a year, that's when the slide started. You look at the New York Islanders, when their slide started, when Mike Bossy retired, there's 60, 70 goals a year. And you can't replace it. So, it's, like I said, it's very political. I was surprised I got in. The best thing for me was my dad was still alive. That's what was important to me. I'm honored to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame, but the best thing for me was it gave me an opportunity to be on stage and thank my father, and that's what was really important to me about getting in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
All right, let's go back over a couple things with the raffle prizes over there. See Sue for your 2 free tickets. Dig deep down in your pocket for $1 a piece and buy a few. All those prizes on that table will go home with someone tonight. Lauren, we still draw those around 8 o'clock?
Yep.
Around 8 o'clock.
I got to mention Brad Mccrimmon too. So Brad was part of that core group. Brad went on to an extremely successful career. And especially in Calgary, where he won a cup. And, he was probably my best friend, but having him as a partner, and he partnered with McGinnis and Suter, he was a heck of a hockey player. So, I think of that list of 5 guys or whatever, I think they're probably like me. They're kind of on the edge. They have a chance of getting in, but like I said, the biggest reason I got in was they changed the committee, and Scotty Bowman got put on the committee, and for some reason Scotty voted for me, and it's kind of like that old E.F. Hutton commercial when E.F. Hutton speaks, people listen. When Scotty Bowman speaks, people listen. That's how I got in.
I'll disagree with that.
Jack, that question was half loaded because I never did hear the prop name come out of your mouth.
I didn't say any names.
I know you did. I know, but I had to mention that.
He's a big problem for you.
Well, there was nothing better than having Hexie in net, having Mccrimmon on my right side, and having Prop and Pool and Killing and penalty. So, yeah, there's a lot of games where, we were short of hand, but we were licking our chops. There's not many times you lick your chops looking to score a goal, but
Right.
Brian was a very intelligent hockey player, extremely intelligent. Dave Poole was a darn good player, great captain, and like I said, Beast was a heck of a player. And Hexie knew how to move the puck. So like I said, Brian's a heck of a really good hockey player.
And he can fish a little bit too.
Well, he's learning. He used to be a golfer. So he's like me. I used to be a golfer, then I turned fisherman. So.
Lauren, what do you got?
We've got a Facebook question asking if one of the biggest thrills of your career was playing for Team Canada in '74.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome, actually. So I just turned 19. But yeah, I played on a line with my dad at right wing and Ralph Backstrom at center. And new experience. I played against the Russians in '72 in the Olympics, so I knew what that was all about. And being over there, the only thing I was disappointed in, they came in, they had the attitude that everybody who was there for training camp and everybody who participated, you're going to get in at least one game. I didn't necessarily agree with that. I've never been happy with you have a winning lineup and then they change it. That just doesn't compute in my brain. And so the first game, I didn't play the first game of that series, and they went with a veteran lineup, which I totally agree with. They tied 3-3. I got in Toronto, and I think Dad had a goal. I think I had a goal and an assist. Ralph, I ended up killing penalties with Ralph Backstrom. Our penalty killing percentage was 92% against the Soviets. So Ralph was a heck of a player, really smart. So yeah, it was a great experience, but we didn't win. So yeah, it's disappointing. And like I said, so we won in Toronto. I think the score was 4-2. We went into Winnipeg, and they changed 10 players in the lineup. We went with 10 new guys, and also I think it was Jerry Cheever's. I believe it was his father who passed away. So Cheesy didn't play that game, and I think we lost badly in Winnipeg, and then we went to Vancouver. Bobby Hull had a hat trick. It was scary, but we blew a 5-2 lead in the third period. Ended up 5-5. But then when we went over to Moscow, and we just played on disciplined hockey. So and that goes with the philosophy of if you have a really, really strong-minded coach, you're going to play discipline. And I don't care what you say. If you have a winning lineup, you don't change it. It doesn't matter who's not in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's another loaded question for you. Best teammate, and you got to take Gordy out of the conversation.
Best teammate.
Not named Gordy.
Yeah. Well, for me, I would have to say Brad Mccrimmon.
Okay.
So Brad did a lot of little things away from the game, helping players out. His nickname was the Beast. He did a lot of things, but inside he was just a wonderful, wonderful human being with a kind heart. And you ask all the young guys. Brad did a lot to, and it was all about team. It was never about personal goals. So Brad, not only with himself and with the Flyers, but I think with every team that he played for. Actually, when they had his service after he died in that plane crash, I think there was players that were from 5 or 6 different teams, and even the Islanders were just coached. There's some people there, so he impacted a lot of lives.
We're getting summoned by the trivia police, so
Uh-oh.
it's trivia time.
Trivia time. We're going to run off a few. We got good stories here. We can't
this
interrupt.
is.
We can do it.
Let's just do 2 real quick.
All right. 'Cause we could do trivia in between for the guest here. All right, we'll do 2 real quick.
Come on, it's a team game here. Let's get along.
Exactly.
It's a team game.
All
Right,
right.
Bill Mattis? Come on, you're all about it. Come on, she needs somebody in her corner.
All right, so Mark Allen has the NHL record for the most assists by a rookie U.S.-born defenseman in a single season. With how many assists?
All right. Well, is Jack allowed to answer?
Yeah, no, he's got a long.
58?
He is incorrect. Incorrect.
USA.
56.
56 is correct. 56. 56 assists.
Is that a new ringer that's sitting at that table? I'm serious.
These are new folks at this table.
Yeah, that's a new ring. They brought in another ringer.
They got the new cheat sheets.
They got the new sheets.
Henry, I'm holding you accountable. Yes.
Yes, don't
you
act
are.
innocent. All right, so we'll go with another one with Mark's NHL records for the most points by a rookie U.S.-born defenseman in a season. With how many points?
Okay, got it. 80?
80 is correct. Yep.
Very good. Yeah. We got some fans in the house and a couple cheaters back there.
Yeah, I just don't know how they consider me a rookie, because I'd already played 6 years of pro hockey in the WHA, so, but, hey, if they want to go for it, they can go for it.
Well, and our next question, we'll do one more just to keep Lauren happy. Look at her, she's all excited now. All right, this one I'm pretty impressed about. Mark also has the NHL record for the highest plus minus in his career for a U.S.-born defenseman. What is his plus minus? You already answered once.
Yeah, we already answered. I mean, you can answer again. We just can't give you another prize. Somebody.
We got others. Rob's got an answer. He definitely Wikipedia'd it.
87.
For his career? No, for his career. You got definitely cheater. Yeah, there's a definite cheater right there.
There was.
That got passed across the table. That got passed across the table. It doesn't get past us over here. We can see it all from up here. But yes, 400 plus 400. That's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I took a lot of pride in it. Dad actually worked for Emory Edge and used to hand out the trophy every year, so I got to hand it out to me. But so like a lot of it was the 3 years I played with Brad. I think we were like plus 190. So basically, every time the team stepped on the ice, you had a 1-0 lead.
Right.
So, but yeah, I know in the old WHA as a forward, I know I was plus 130, 140, something like that too. So, but yeah, I just took a lot of pride on the defensive side of the game. A lot of that I think I learned from my dad. First year I was playing, we were beating the team pretty bad, and it was about 4 or 5 minutes to go, and we're up by 3-4 goals, and I'm down there trying to score more. And the other team's trying to kill me. Dad said, all you're doing is pissing these guys off. He said, just shut them down, keep them off the board. We got the game won. And, so you won't get hurt. They won't get ticked off at you. And, make sure you take care of your end of the ring. So then, and it helped a lot when I learned how to play defense too.
Do you have a famous or most popular for you, Gordie Howe hat trick moment throughout his career?
No. Actually, I saw Dad at we had one fight in WHA, but no, I guess he really didn't have too many. So, no, I think probably the one that's, I relate to it the most was I was at a game in New Jersey. And I was listening to the post-game show, and one of their players had a goal and an assist and a roughing penalty. And so Matt was doing the post-game show. He goes, well, why don't we call that the Markow hat trick? So that's what I like. No, but like I said, the years I played with Dad, and Marty and I, my older brother Marty, we get together, and we have some chuckles sometimes, and we tell some old stories. And like I've done a couple interviews, and I said, my father, I think, was the nicest human being I've ever met in my life. So gracious and kind to everybody. But on the ice, he's the most vicious SOB I've ever seen. Some of the stuff he's done, I shake my head at it. It's not in me, but he did it.
Right? When you're playing, it's a different animal, right?
Yeah, so I know, like, even when I was a kid, I'd be riding in the front seat. I was maybe 11 years old, 12 years old. We'd be heading down to the old Olympia in Detroit. Dad would look at me and he'd say, keep an eye on this player tonight. And that'd be a guy on the other, and I would just be glued to him the whole game. And you still wouldn't see it sometime, but inevitably that guy would pick himself up off the ice, and there'd be a massive pile of blood, and there was something in his face that got busted. And so then the odd time, and he was very quiet about it. I know even when we were playing Quebec my first year, and I was playing left wing, and J.C. Trombley was playing for Quebec. He'd come up the right wing boards. He saw Gordy. He just turned in the middle, and he was busy looking over his shoulder to see where going. And I caught him with his shoulder square in the face. I separated his shoulder, knocked him cold turkey. And after the game, Dad came over. He just patted me on the back, said, "Good job." Dad hated him. Just something happened. It was on a train ride about 10, 12 years prior. And the man had a memory like an elephant. So, but yeah, I'm really glad he was not my father. And it is kind of funny when you tell Gordie Howe stories, even at his funeral. So Bob York came up to me, and Bob York had to explain what Gordie did to him. And then we're talking with Wayne. Wayne said he was with Indianapolis. And he went up, hooked the puck, took the puck away from Gordie, started going the other way. So next thing you know, he says, "Oh my God, I think my arm was broke." And Gordie came up to me and said, "Hey kid, don't ever take my puck again." Wayne said, "Believe me, I never did." But Marty explained it best. He said, if anybody else did some of the things Gordie did to him, you wouldn't like that guy for a long, long time. But what was different with Gordie is players kind of wore it as a badge of honor. This is what Gordie Howe did to me. Every guy I know, Brad Mccrimmon said when he played with Boston, he got cut over the eye and he was getting stitched up, and all the players come in at the end of the first period. And they say, "What happened to you?" They said, Gordie stick him up, and he come over and he apologized. And Wayne Cashman and all these guys go, "Yeah, well, see this cut, see these missing teeth, see this over here." Gordie apologized for all them too. But I guess easily explained when Dad came here for one game, and Timmy Kirk came up to me, and Timmy said, "Boy, I'd love to meet your dad. Would you please introduce him?" And so I said, "Sure." So I introduced him. Dad looks at Timmy, and back then our games were on Prism, but not every game was out there, and you get the odd game on national TV. And Dad looked at Timmy. He says, "You got to do me a favor." He said, "Anything, Mr. Howe?" He goes, "Next time you're on national TV, and you're in front of the net, you got all these guys cross-checking you and jumping all over your back, and the big man can handle it anyway." He says, "I want you to drop your gloves, and I want you to smoke the guy if you right in the face." And Timmy, the gentle giant, said, "Okay." And sure enough, we're playing the Rangers next time Dad was in town, and Tom Laidlaw was a recipient of a few lefts from Timmy. And what Dad said, he said, "You make sure it's on national TV. That way, all these players in the league will see it. And they're all going to go, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that to Timmy." And he said, "Timmy, it'll give you a split second more. You'll get more opportunities, and your goal production is going to go up." And Timmy went from 40 goals to 50 goals right after that.
Yeah, very cool.
But that's how Dad's mind works. So it's a different mindset, but you can't play that way anymore.
Well, and like you're saying, your dad would be hated if he was a different person, but he did it with a smile. Or thank you, we're sorry afterwards.
Well, I've only met maybe 4 or 5 people in my lifetime that they just have this aura about him. I think we've all been involved trying to help children, charity work. A lot of times you're out of practice. You might have 3 or 4 paraplegics, quadriplegics in their wheelchairs sitting there. And Dad used to take the snow from the ice, go over the glass and dump it. It would hit a child in the face and just roll down their face. They can't move. They can't do anything about it. And they loved it. They smiled. They laughed. Next player would see it. They'd come along. You do the same thing. Oh, my God, you got the worst looks you've ever seen in your life. And, I mean, you got the glass between you, got everything there. But there was just a certain something about Gordie Howe that just can't be duplicated.
That's very cool.
Lauren, you got the room covered, all the questions answered.
Nope,
This
we have a
lady,
question right there.
we got no Phillies questions, sorry.
Yeah, I have my family throwing things out at me. My one daughter, who is a great hockey fan, she said, ask Mark if he thinks Alexander Ovechkin's better than Wayne Gretzky.
No way.
Let's see if he has a heart attack.
No, that's an easy answer. So Alex Ovechkin is actually trying to line up an interview that's a network down in Washington. He's going to pass Gordie's 801 goals next season, and they'd like to talk about it. Alex Ovechkin is without a doubt, if he's not the best goal scorer, but no, Wayne Gretzky's overall game was just so much better. So, in my opinion.
Well, I think Wayne Gretzky was before her time, so she doesn't have a really good frame of reference. Okay, then this is like coming at me. Bobby, my husband, comments, Bobby Clark, most intense flyer ever.
Was Bobby Clark the most
Bobby
intense?
Clark.
Well, pretty darn close to it. If there was somebody more, I don't know. There's, I think of all the guys, like I said, Bobby wore it on his sleeve. You could see it. A lot of people, they looked at me and they said, well, like, you're talented, you're this and that, but you didn't see much emotion. Well, believe me, on the inside, you're churning. And, that's the only way to play the game, in my opinion. But I couldn't hold a candle to Bobby Clark's intensity. And that's 24/7 on the ice, off the ice, in the summertime. And in everything, like I said, I didn't see Bobby early on because I was in the other league, but in actuality, I know when I played in Hartford the year before I got traded here, I was asking to get traded, and I put 4 teams on the list. One of the teams were the Flyers. So when we played against those 4 teams, I especially made sure I was out there giving it, and I danced around Bobby Clark so easily one night. I left him in the dust, and I went around a few more guys. I had a great chance to goal. And then about 3 seconds after the play's over, I get a cross check in the back of the head. Well, it was Bobby Clark. And but to me, and it didn't bother me. It's part of the game, didn't faze me. But to me, that individual play, one kind of thing, maybe showed Bobby Clark a lot about who I was. So, but no. So, and like I said, Bobby Clark never ever quit on a play in practice. Brian Propp used to line, and I used to line up against Clarkie and Darryl Sittler doing skate drills, which was kind of easy for us back at that time. And but Clarkie just would never ever give up. So yeah, I don't think there's anybody that's done more for this team than Bobby Clark.
Okay, I'm not going to take up too much more.
Well, I gotta cut you off because we gotta move on.
Okay, one more thing. My husband said you're.
All right, here's the deal. You want to get on the back of our T-shirt, you can be a sponsor.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Tell me about your dad's sharp elbows.
Oh, they weren't sharp. They were just massively powerful. Well, my dad used a really short stick. So anybody that came from behind, all he had to do is he reach his stick forward. So who's ever trying to get that puck, you had to extend your arm and your chin got exposed. And you know, Dad used to rifle that. I've seen that 100 times if I've seen it once. Yeah, he knocked a lot of people cold turkey with that thing.
All right, let's, we're gonna wrap this up. Part of tonight anyway, the live portion of the show. I want you guys to definitely take care of the gals that are running around working, bringing food and drinks. I want to thank Ed and Nikki, the proprietors, the owners here at Dagwood's, for giving us this opportunity to present show 200 here at Dagwood's. Show number 201 is next week in our hometown of Delco. And we're sticking with the defensive side of the ice. We got the Watson brothers coming out.
You won't need the microphone from Joe and Jimmy, I guarantee
We
you that.
definitely won't need any questions or commentary.
That was the whole idea. Carl and I was gonna take the night off. We were just gonna let them.
Yeah, let them have at it.
So we're, that's gonna be show 201. So hopefully you guys hopefully follow us on this Fan's View. If you don't, it'd be great, you know, to like our page, share our page. We run a lot of contests.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that.
So with all that being said, John, you have anything else?
Just want to thank Mark for coming out and joining us here for our 200 show. Hopefully we'll have 200 more shows we know. So,
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Like I said, Carl and I, we go back a little ways. So, wonderful person. And yeah, I don't deal with people who are not kind. So he's a good person. So glad to help out. And glad to hear you doing some stuff with charity. Like I said, I guess I got to mention, that's what we've been doing in our family, the Howe Foundation. We've been auctioning off a lot of my mom and dad's memorabilia over the years. We've been able to raise quite a bit of money. So we've been tied in with the Snyder Foundation, Snyder Hockey, and we just finished a 3-year relationship. And I told they're waiting for my phone calls. We're going to renew for another 3 years. So I love what they do, and it's a wonderful charity, and to help the city of Philadelphia, I think it's great.
Very cool. I personally, you know, I mean, we do go back. We've done a number of signings at the store. You've always been so professional, and you know, one of the best days was the day you brought Gordy to the store. You know, and I think Gordy was more excited to announce that that's my son Mark over there. You know, and just an unbelievable day. Something I'll remember for the rest of my life. I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Great show. Show number 200. Continue to follow us. We're back here. What's the date?
July 13th.
July 13th. We're working on another guest, obviously. So we're going to keep this ball rolling for as long as they'll have us. So again, thank you, and have a great night, everybody.